everyone, this is April, the artist behind InvokeArtSense. Today we are going to be doing a watercolor painting with my self-portrait. So the other day I drew my self-portrait with ColErase pencils in my sketchbook, my Moleskin sketchbook. I have two perspectives of me, two profiles of me. One as a 3/4 profile and front view of me. And I printed it out on my printer with just the black and white monochrome color, so I can trace it on my light box here that I just got on Amazon for $18.99. It came with 2 clips and a stand, but I don't think the stand is going to be useful for me. But so this light box is very thin and it has a USB power source, and I plug it. It didn't come with an adapter, but I plugged it into one of my adapters I already had. And I think that, and then I'm going to be doing watercolors with the June box. I did an unboxing in a previous video when I just got back to the States. So the June box included this feature artist that you see here. And if you're curious about this making of this painting that I did, if you're curious about this painting and how I did it, please click the card on the top right. But the June box, I got the Rownery Aquafine travel set, Faber Castell Polychromos pencils, and the Posca ultrafine marker pen, which I didn't use because I forgot. And I also have the Staedtler Norris erasable colored pencil, but I won't be using that in this video. Okay. So I have my new light box, and what was I saying? So I have my ColErase pencil that I got in this box, but I won't be using that because I sketched it out with a different ColErase pencil, but you'll see the others being used again in this video, this especially. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this video. So the new light box is going to be wonderful, and the Arteza paper that I'm going to be using for my final self-portrait finished piece. So Arteza 32 sheets. They came with 2 packs of these, 9" by 12" 140-pound paper, 300 GSM, and it's made in USA, and it's ideal for watercolor techniques and mixed media. Cold pressed paper, glue bound. So it's not sealed like Arches, but it seems like it's pretty good. I already tore off 1 sheet of paper, and I have my monochrome paper, monochrome print of my self-portrait I did in my sketchbook. Okay, so on Amazon, it does say this is premium paper, affordably priced, and it is. It's only $22.98 currently. I think I paid $24.98, but so it's really not expensive at all, and it is pretty thick and heavy, 300 GSM. Anything lighter than that, I would probably have problems with warping, but I will still use my watercolor paper here I got in Korea, but so I'll use this tape here to tape it down to my desk while I work on it, and it's not too rough and not too smooth. It's a good texture. Cold pressed paper, and as far as it's 100% acid free. Okay, so that's good. It won't get all yellowy on you as time goes on. They also have 100% cotton watercolor paper, but this one is not. It's cold pressed paper. But let's but you can look online for that yourself. But so this has 3 settings, and I have a new perspective for the video. I had it over the table, and it really was at this odd angle because the I can't think of the word, the tripod arm just isn't long enough. And the tripod arm I had in Korea was pretty long, and I think I just didn't get the right one. So how does this work? So it has 3 settings, I think. Put the copied version on the bottom. Okay. And I guess just to, instead of using the clamps they gave me, just using a bit of this tape here will be just fine. Oh, and then this light box also has centimeters. Yeah, centimeters on both sides, on the length and the width. And this light box is a good size. Okay, so this light box I got on Amazon. Like I said, it's the name of the company, or this light box is made in China. So, who knew? Everything's made in China nowadays. SanerDirect Diamond Painting A4 LED Light Pad. Okay, tracing light box for drawing, adjustable brightness with ruler. It comes with a stand, and this size. This light box size, the area, it's 13.3 inches by 17 inch dimensions and 4 millimeter thickness. Okay, and then the overall size, the whole package dimensions that it says on Amazon says 17 by 11 by 1.6 inches. But as you can see, this is an 8 by 10 printed copied paper, so that fits with a little bit more room on the sides and a tiny bit of room on the very end. So I have it taped, and this Arteza paper, there's a little bit of texture on one side. So I wanted a little bit of texture on this end here. Since there's a little ledge here, I think I need to move my copy a little bit to the end so that it's my watercolor paper won't get bent. So it's got about the same amount of room on both ends. Okay, so we have watercolor paper over it, and I'm gonna also put a little bit of tape, not these, because if you put the clamps on, then it'll be lifted a little bit, and maybe it'll put, I take it back, maybe I like that. We'll just use the clamps that it came with. So we'll just use the clamps, and it being a little angled, it will be good to see it better, right? So, but I worry because it's so thin. Okay, so I just need to get just a basic image, and I think I'll use, well, I take that back what I said earlier, that I wouldn't use this pencil in the included June box, but we'll use it this time. We're going to use it this time around. You don't have to use a light box, but I think that it's very useful. You could also just, like put graphite, use a graphite pencil on the back of the paper, and use a darker graphite pencil, and then put that paper over your watercolor paper, and then trace over the copy of the paper. That'll be fine. Or you can use transfer paper, but I don't really want to use graphite. Graphite, if you use graphite with watercolors, you have to definitely erase, and I don't want to go through that trouble. And this is a little hard to see, but maybe it's because I'm not so young anymore, or maybe it's because the watercolor paper is pretty thick. And because I'm having a hard time seeing it clearly, I'm gonna be looking at my original sketch. Okay, so I think that I have it traced enough where I can see what I need to do for my final drawing, because really the shading will be done with the watercolors anyways. So overall, this light box helped a lot. For me, it wasn't easy to see at the final setting. Maybe I have to do it this way because it's easier to see at an angle. That's for next time. For now, I think it worked. I'm not going to be doing any line art per se, except for with the Faber Castell Polychromos. These will be my lining for the finish, so it'll be mostly a realistic look. Okay, so I have my blue tape all taped down to my desk, and I have 2 water containers that I made these, by the way, when I was in university in a ceramic class. So I have one for clean water, one for dirty water. So I'm starting the first portrait of me. I am going with a 2 like duplexity, or like a second image of me, and I want one image to be warm, which is the front third quarter profile view. So I'm using yellow, lemon yellow first to give the highlights and the warm base, and I go over with my skin tone. In the skin tone, I use the cadmium red hue and the lemon yellow, a mixture of the two. And at first, it was a little bit darker than I wanted, and I was worried it was too yellow. So maybe I would have used less yellow next time. But overall, I did like it. And the hair, I'm going with a realistic look, but I want the colors to be vibrant, playful, and not too strict and too photorealistic. So I'm going with something that is realistic, but a little bit more playful than that. And so I'm not an expert at watercolor. I'm still learning myself. I started this watercolor. I started working with watercolor more in Korea because I couldn't do oil paintings, which is my main medium. And so currently doing little fine details with watercolor is a little bit difficult for me. And I'm doing the cold version of me. I guess there is a cold and a warm version for everyone, right? So the cold version of me is a front view and not as warm, no pun intended, cold. And the hair is the same tones, but I think I used more raw sienna first. Raw sienna or light red. I used raw sienna and light red. So I went back with to focus on the other one, because I went back and forth because I wasn't really confident in one and I went to the other, and then the other I used more cadmium red hue, and then at first I thought it was too light, but it actually worked well because I didn't want it to be warm at all. So, and I'm going with the hair. I wanted the hair to be purple. So I use ultramarine blue dark and the alizarin crimson hue. So, and I shade the faces with the cadmium red hue and a mixture of the lemon yellow. And the hair, this set doesn't have black in it. This set only has Payne's Gray, but Payne's Gray is actually a really great color that I never really used before. It looks like a bit of blue. It looks like it has a bit of blue tint in it. But so even by itself, Payne's Gray is really nice looking. And I use that by itself along with a mixture of burnt sienna. I use burnt sienna more often, I think, in the warm version, and in the cold version I use raw sienna to give the coldness of the hair. And for the eyes, the details, I'm not an expert, but I use the skin tone along with the warm version. I use the skin tone along with burnt sienna to give a little bit darker skin tone, so I can line the eyes a little bit, and along with Payne's Gray for the eyeshadow, or not eyeshadow, the eyelashes. And for the cold version of me, I use for the lining, the darker shadows, I use the skin tone along with cobalt blue hue, and that gave me a great skin tone for any darker shadow areas. But sometimes if you use too much of lemon hue, you're gonna get too warm of a color, which so you have to use more water to get a great mixture. And this paper, Arteza cold press paper, it is okay. I found out that after working on it, or after lifting color is not as easy with this paper. The paper actually comes off. So in the cold version, maybe it was me, maybe I was too rough, but the paper actually came off around the eyes. But it still looks okay, but this paper can't handle a lot of hard lifting of the color. And I think the texture of it, I would like to see more texture in watercolor paper, so it didn't have enough texture for me. But if you're one of those people that like a little bit less texture, a little bit more just smooth paper, then this paper will be great for you. I'll continue to use it because I have 2 packs of it, but I had Canson Montreal in Korea, and that was much better in the quality and texture. And I think also if it was 100% cotton, of course, then you would get easier time working the colors and lifting colors. So I guess it'll be on my wish list to get better paper in the future, but for now it'll be fine. And so at first here I have the eyes. For some reason when I draw eyes, especially in front view paintings or drawings, there's always one eye that's a little bit too high, which if I had to redo this, the right eye, if you're looking my left eye, but if you look from the computer screen, the right eye is a little bit too high, and so it needed to be a little bit lower. But the third quarter view is perfect, I think. And you need to tell me, please comment in the comment section below, which one of these do you like best? Do you like the warm version or the cold version? And I went with a simple background, just with simple reds, oranges, and yellows to give a subtle warm and cold look. And so the red, orange, and yellows, they're great secondary colors of each other. And then when I worked on this, after I was finished, the details, I used the Faber Castell pencils that I got from the June Scrawlr Box, which if I have more practice with watercolor, I wouldn't have to do this, but since I wanted to use the box contents again, it was great to use this for the eyes, irises, and the hair details. And so when I did the warm version with these pencils, I did the shadow underneath the neck, and I think that it just is too much. I probably should have used my watercolors to give the shadow instead of most of the pencil. But for the cold version, it worked great. I did the shadow underneath the neck with the Faber Castell pencil, and with the warm version, it was a little bit too harsh, I think, when I went in with the pencil. But you tell me below what you think. Does that look okay to you, or is it an eyesore? So I'm now finishing up a little bit of the details, and I'm using the Posca fine liner, fine point pen or marker. So this is a great way to finish off the highlights, especially if you didn't leave the highlights out when you did the watercolor painting, and it gave an expressive finish to it. And then I finished this, but of course the front view, I just wasn't satisfied. I went back and filled out the cheek on the right side. If you look at the computer screen, the right side, I added the cheek because it was not proportionate. So I did that, and now I think it looks great. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like the video, and come back for more exciting videos. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.